Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another episode of the Man Knows Hip Hop podcast. With me, you already know, your boy Slack. Special guest in the building this week, and my co-host extraordinaire. I'm surrounded by brilliance today.
Here we go, man. That's exactly that, man. We're here again. E Major in the house, Man Knows Hip Hop, the podcast that knows and celebrates hip hop. Here for another episode 23. It's going to be a good one tonight. So before we get into it and even begin to talk about what the topic is, as you can see, we have DJ Beanz in the house today, man. So what we're going to do, as we always do when a guest is here, we want to say thank you for joining us and welcome. And we just want to give you the mic, man, and just give you a time to just plug whatever you want to plug, introduce yourself. Whatever you want to do, man. Over to you, Beanz. Talk to DJ Beanz.
First of all, thank you so much, because I was just saying these are my Twitter celebrities up in here. So I fangirled out a little before we came on here. And if you don't know who I am, it's your girl, DJ Beanz, aka Holla Beanz, aka the Boston Big Bitch, aka the Hip Hop Black Widow, aka Beanie Kegel, aka Kanye Breast, aka Beanzy. I can keep on going, but
Hey, that's it.
Welcome, Beanz. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Let me just say, right? We don't just have anybody on this show. First of all, we don't want to whore ourselves out to anyone. Beanz, the mixtapes and shit that you've been doing is just ridiculous, like outrageous. Can you just tell the people who might not know who you are, just give them a little rundown of some of those minor rappers that you're DJing for, that you DJ for?
Oh yeah, so those rappers out there that unfollow me because they think I don't play their stuff on my radio show, but they never tune into my show. Like those kind of rappers, cool. So I've been doing this shit for a while. I came into it basically like I was messing around on the decks with some guys that used to DJ for the EDM scene back in Florida, and I ended up having a knack for it. I loved it. And I've always been huge into mixtapes. So Tony Touch tapes, K-Slay, White Owl, all these tapes is where I got my dose of that hip hop that I loved. So I'm from Boston, Massachusetts. I moved to Florida when I was 18, 19, and I ended up back in Boston, somehow ended up in Virginia. I'm a nomad still. So I moved all over the place. So when I was in Virginia, I used to drive 3 hours to New York just to get a slice of pizza and grab a whole bunch of mixtapes so I could get my dose of the Locks and Fabulous and Papoose and Ransom and, Graph and all those artists that for me have paved the way for this whole hip hop thing, outside of the golden era. So that, this resurgence of whatever that's going on. I mean, these are the legends to me. So I loved that about how a DJ could deliver to me this stuff that I can't hear on the radio. So it was super dope, thrown on a tape, and it might have 42 tracks and you might cut through a few, but there might be them 5 gems on there, that new Styles P joint or something like that. That's just a banger that ain't on nobody else's shit, like White Owl with his remixes and stuff like that. So that was what I really wanted to do. I wanted to be able to deliver that to people. I wanted to put people on to new music, because the first time I DJ'd and everybody got off their feet and started dancing, it was just this high. And then I realized I just had a knack for recognizing great music. So I was constantly just putting people onto stuff, and I loved that feeling. I loved introducing people to an artist that they're not going to hear on the radio. And that's just something I've always kind of stayed true to, is that, I feel like there's so many different aspects of being a DJ, from scratching and, all of that stuff. So I harass the shit out of Slack with my mixtapes, because I'm I know he's going to appreciate the selection, and I be going in. I be mixing, they're no joke. Thank you. And I know how picky you guys are. You know what I'm saying? So I come to people like that because I just want people. I'm over here like feeling myself on my own mixes. Like, damn, somebody else got to appreciate this somewhere.
Yeah, man.
So, you know, it's, you know, back before the internet really blew up big. And when it was starting to blow up, there was a top 100 mixtape DJ list that was circulating through a couple different magazines. And I was always in the top 25. And I'll never forget the day, like I surpassed Green Lantern.
Wow.
And I surpassed Lazy K. So that was huge for me because I'm like, I'm not saying I'm better than them, but like I was actually getting voted up higher. I was dropping sometimes like 2 mixtapes a week. So, you know, I had so many different series that I would have. And, you know, it came to a point that people would tell me, you know, your name gets brought up at all the major record label meetings because they're like, if you want to make a record hot, put it in DJ Beanz' hands. And I used to really pride myself on blasting stuff out to DJs. And they'd always say, you know, if DJ Beanz sends you something, you open it. So I've never been about the payola. I've never been about charging for mixtape slots. I did it one time because my broke ass couldn't afford to get the cover done. So I was like, I got to charge for 2 slots so I can get the cover done, but it still can't be whack. Like I still have to, you know, fuck with it or whatever. So yeah, you know, I'd say that's the major basis of it, but
you literally just told like the hip hop story, and you can tell by your tapes that the artists that you always have on your tapes, like it's a lot of stuff that people might not really have heard of, or it's just nice to see that DJs are still putting on artists that aren't, you know, all over the mainstream or who people talk about, but it's actually people that you actually like. You can tell, you know what I mean? The blends are dope, the song selections are fire, man. It's just it's a pleasure to have you on here.
Definitely, man.
So tell the people how you got the name DJ Beanz and keep it clean.
Why? Who are you talking to right now? All the fun out of everything. Well, luckily this is a very clean story. So this was when I was in Virginia. I was going by DJ Soldado, which is soldier in Italian and in Spanish. So they used to just call me Beanz and Beantown because I'm from Boston. So Boston and Beanz, and then just there was this crew. This is clean, but it doesn't sound clean. But there's this energy drink, and it has cat on it, and it's pink, so it's called Some Pussy. So I used to
know the one.
DJ and they put a flyer out, and I found it like a few years ago. The very first flyer, it said DJ Beanz on there, and I was like, "What is this?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, we named you that, so you're DJ Beanz now." So I'd say maybe like 2008, I was given the name back in DC.
And then you never look back.
Nope. It's one of those things like the way of passage. If somebody gives you a name in this industry, you take it. You know what I'm saying?
Like, when Chuck D named Busta Rhymes.
Huh?
Yeah.
When Chuck D named Busta Rhymes.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Yep.
Dope. So, this week we decided to tackle the topic of females in hip hop. And we thought we'll tackle this because it came up a while ago. I was listening to or watching a tweet go through, and they were talking about top female MCs and this, that, and the third. And I was like, a couple of these girls on this list will eat a lot of these other rappers. So what is this with the whole female MC thing? And I spoke to one of my friends who's a female rapper, and I was like, how do you feel about this, the female MC thing? And she was like, I understand why it's there. I don't like it, but I understand why it's there. And I've heard Jean Grey say, you know, don't put me on the female list. I'm a rapper. You know what I mean? Include me with the dudes and whatnot. And on top of that, I simply just don't think that females in general get their props in hip hop. So I thought we should dedicate a show specifically for females in hip hop. And on top of that, we'll get one of the dopest females in hip hop to join us on here, talk to us about it, let us know how she feels. We're not going to grill you or nothing like that. Just get an insight on how you feel about
you. I'm not scared of you. Bring it on.
So generally, like, just how we'll start off by the difference between a male and female MC, apart from obviously, you know, the genitals, and the recognition. Because let's be real, like someone like Rhapsody, if her name was Kendrick Lamar, you know, she might be in a different place. If she took her clothes off, she might be in a different place. Not to say that she's not successful, because she is, but I think I listened to her music, and I was listening to it very recently. Her mixtapes are fire. Like even outside of her albums, her mixtapes are very, very dope. She's a dope rapper. She's got everything that everyone will ask for. I want the topics. I want the good albums. You know what I mean? I want the beats. She's got all of that. So then it made me think, I wonder why she would have to, get naked in order to sell a record. Meg Thee Stallion, if she never took her clothes off, would anyone give a shit about who she is? You know what I mean?
Does anybody give a shit anyway? Sorry.
I certainly don't, but it's just another example of females in hip hop, all the way back to Queen Latifah, Moni Love, and
yeah.
Even before that, all the way back to the Juice Crew and Roxanne and the real Roxanne.
You gotta put Roxanne in there.
So we've had a load of those. Even when Lady of Rage came out, I was totally blown away by Afro Puffs. Like I listened to that. We would rinse that shit, but I didn't care if it was a male female. Boss, how dope was Boss when she came out? Even though it turned out she was a bit of an actress, but that album was fire. Like I could still play that album now. So I just think it's about time that we just gave a little bit of recognition to the females in hip hop, not just the MCs either, because we've had female label heads, we've had female people at the magazines and the Source that were actually influencing a lot of the hip hop that we were consuming. We've obviously had the female MCs. We've had people like Lauryn Hill who crossed over fantastically doing the R&B, neo soul, along with the hip hop. We've had females touching on, all the major facets in hip hop. And I think it's about time that we just raise the glass to them. So that's what this episode's about today, man. So, E,
how
do you feel about separating the males from the females in hip hop? Do you think it's necessary? Do you think it's just a case of it is what it is, or do you think that it's something that should change?
You know what? I'm always going to try and keep it real, man. And like you said, you spoke to your female MC friend, and I think she answered it perfectly. She understands why it's done. Not necessarily agrees with it, but she understands why it's done. I think we as people, the way we kind of process and get through life is that we have to put things in their compartments. That's just how I think the human mind works. You see what I'm saying? Even in the hip hop, you get people that put things in its categories. You know what I'm saying? You have backpack rap, you have gangster rap, underground rap, coke rap, whatever you want to call it. It's like we always feel like we need to put everything in its box. And I think with female MCs, I think people feel that they need to separate them from male MCs. Now, I'm going to be 110% honest, man. I'm definitely someone who has done that over the years. Like, if I'm making a list, I'll automatically separate males, female. It's only more of a recent thing that I'm trying to actively work against that, because I think it doesn't do the culture any good. It doesn't do the sisters any good. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's anti-culture to do that. So I'm trying to not do that anymore. But to answer your question, I just think it's people feeling like they need to separate the two. And if I'm honest, this is not me, but I have had loads of conversations over 30 years of loving hip hop. There's a lot of people don't feel that female MCs are on the level as male MCs. Like you said, a lot of female MCs that will eat up male MCs. I think it was on Shay Noor's last album. I can't remember the track, it's gone now, but she was talking about it, and she was talking about top fives and things like that. And she was saying, like, it might have been a track with Love the Genius. And she's like, you know what, if we're not listing in your top fives, it don't make sense really, because we're better than the men that you're listing. You see what I'm saying? So I think sometimes there's something in people that feel like they're doing the male MCs a injustice, by putting females in their category. This isn't, I don't agree with that, but I have heard a lot of people say that in conversation. So it's something we need to stop, but they're the kind of things I think why that's happening. Do you know what I'm saying? And hopefully episodes like this will work against stopping that. Do you know what I'm saying?
For real, bro. How you feel, Beanz? How you feel about the separation, male and female in hip hop?
I mean, I think E spoke on that perfectly as well. And thank you guys for doing this. Greatly appreciated, because I'm also guilty of it. Because sometimes I say, female, and I separate it too. I do that. I try to catch myself and say woman and stuff like that. But even then, I constantly say me. One of the things I've always said, I don't want to be your favorite female DJ. I want to be your favorite DJ, because what should separate me when I might not be able to scratch with my armpit, but I can blend some shit that dudes can't do. Right. I might not be a scratch master, but I have a certain stage presence that others can't deliver. So why do I have to be your favorite female DJ? Why can't I just be your favorite DJ? So I speak on Shay often, and now Love as well, but Shay especially, because she is a perfect example of, you know, back in the day when we had the whole B-girl thing, it was sexy to be with the hoop earrings and the big shorts and the crazy sneakers and stuff like that. So this leads back to where I started seeing it happen, where we've always had the sex appeal with Foxy and with Lil' Kim, with Trina. You know what I'm saying? But they've all got bars. These women can spit. Charlie Baltimore, Vita. Like, I could keep on, like, we could just bring up the 7 Deadly Sins track and just pull, you know, them off of that. Eve. I don't even want to leave people out, but
Rod Digger. I heard Rod Digger.
Like, and that's the thing too. I hate, I don't separate them because I always name them in my top MCs. So I also think it gets separated a lot because females don't put out as many albums and stuff as men do. But this is going to lead into the bigger picture of where it comes down to the separation and all of that other stuff, because women are not given that opportunity. And whether I hurt some egos right now or not, especially when it comes to beta men, because alpha men can come out and be like, she is a top MC, like she shouldn't be, it shouldn't be a female, she'll eat you dudes up. And men have to be confident in themselves to be like, I could spar with her. You know what I'm saying? Like, when it comes down to, you can break it down to battle rap. We got Jazz the Rapper. You know what I'm saying? We got Lady Luck. There's so many different aspects. But why does it have to be a separation? So when people are sitting there talking about verses and you trying to pair Missy Elliott up with so-and-so, yo, pair Missy Elliott up with a man, because that's not fair to put Missy against another female, because Missy is an absolute pioneer, from the videos to content to singing to just being able to seek talent. Missy is a different type. She's one of the greatest artists of all time. Why does it have to be one of the greatest female artists of all time? Nah, because she crushes motherfuckers. Excuse my language, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you're good. And Shay is, to me, I've told her this because, you know, I've DJ'd for her, because I DJ for Spesh and stuff like that. So I first brought Shay onto Be Real TV, like, I want to say back in like 2018. It was the last show I did on Be Real TV. And it was super dope because the question had always come up, and I apologized on air for this because it's messed up that I assumed, like many did, that Spesh was writing for her, because she's coming on these tracks like, what? What did she just say? But that's what's so dope, is I know them and you could see it. And like, she was like, nah, and like, Spesh is not writing for me. And I was like, I'm not gonna lie. And I do apologize for assuming that, and I should never do that. Like, that's half the reason that women are getting separated, is because of stuff like that. I automatically assumed that Spesh was writing for her because she came.
That happens a lot, though, right? That happens a hell of a lot. Yeah.
You know?
So let's ask you this then. Oh, definitely, man. Let me ask you this then. That's a great point, man, and I appreciate you saying that.
That is a great point.
And this isn't to put you on the spot or nothing. It's generally just questioning. Why do you think that assumption was made?
I think it's because Spesh very much has his own style. He's very distinctive. And the way that their energy and their chemistry was on a track, it's almost like she fed off of him. So her style was just very similar. And her punches and stuff like that. Now, as she's progressed, I don't think I ever would have thought that, because now I hear Shay. She's a storyteller. Yeah. I got chills right now just thinking about the track that she did, talking about shooting her best friend and her man. Yo, I got chills.
That's the Intended album. Yeah, that was
my God, my whole face. So, you know, it takes special kind of people to get those kind of chills from music, but it takes even more special people to make that kind of music, to make people do that. 100%. So like, just the Apollo Brown album, it's just crazy, man. And her production, have you watched her step her production game
yes
up?
I was gonna say that.
I was gonna say that exact same thing, because I've noticed the progression from Juno, when she did the Juno album with Spesh. From there she sounded like a kid, like a young girl. She wasn't
comfortable yet. She was finding herself.
Exactly. Yep. So she sounded like, from that album, she sounded like a young girl who was rapping, and she was still dope. Don't get me wrong, but you could tell that there was room for improvement. Her last 2 projects, it's almost like she's gone Super Saiyan Shay now, because she's like
Definitely.
her voice sounds different, her bars are better, she sounds much more confident on the mic. She's
And
producing
I'm sorry
her
to cut
music,
you off, but
all
I'm
of
gonna say this, and I say it often.
Mm.
She smoked Black Thought on that track. And Black Thought, don't get me wrong, he bodied that one joint. What album was that on? That was on the
same album. Yeah,
Apollo Brown
Yeah.
one. But
Yeah,
I say
it's
this
good
all the
intended, yeah.
time. I put people onto that track all the time because that was where her progression really started to hit that album. Because
I agree.
the
That was
whole
the album.
album was like that.
Yeah.
And for her to come like that, and Black Thought's verse, that song is incredible, but like the way she came on there on that, what?
The confidence
You
level.
can't deny.
You're not just gonna spit with Black Thought. You're not just gonna spit with Ransom. You're not just gonna spit with Special. Like, you got to look at the guys that she's in the
RJ Payne, everyone. Yeah.
RJ Payne. She's done it with all of these top class spitters, and no one said nothing about it. Like, this is what kills me. Like, even the other day, I was reading on that stupid bird app, and someone was saying about Doja Cat being the top 5 rapper, and I'm like, okay, cool. If that's what you're telling us, cool. But then you're leaving out Love the Genius. You're leaving out Shay. You're leaving out Digger. You're leaving out all of these people who have been putting in work for a number of years. Doja Cat, no one gave a shit until she dressed up like a cow. Let's be honest. I remember the day that I saw her dressed as a cow on Twitter, and I was like, "What the fuck? What's
was
going
that the
on
video
here?"
where she told Russ she would she was like, "I'm gonna F you, Russ," on the thing? It looked like she was all coked up and stuff like that. That was when I started.
It was an actual music video.
My boy plays guitar for her. My boy from Boston. Shout out to Rosati. So I be following that stuff just because I'm so proud of him. But like,
yeah, for real. I was literally watching it like, what's going on? But you could tell she's a very smart girl. She is.
Yes.
But when it comes to straight up hip hop bars, whatever, I can't put her in the same ring with Love the Genius, with Shay, with all of these people.
She's an incredible performer. So that's a different aspect. Like entertainment wise, she can dance. She puts on an incredible show. Those are the concerts we used to go to back in the day.
Right.
Now Shay and them. Yeah, Shay and Love, they're not going to drop it down and twerk it, but they're going to blow your mind with some bars if you're listening.
Some shit. You got to look at who Love the Genius is rhyming with too. On all her guest features, she's rhyming with Conway and all these. And I'm like, she just killed Conway on a joint. Like, this is crazy. But again, no one says nothing about it.
I do.
The thing that really gets me as well when it comes to female rappers. Why does it always have to only be one? There always has to be one. So it's almost like there's Little Kim and there's Foxy. There has to battle to the finish. So we need to find out.
The Biggie question kills me more than anything.
It's always the same.
Every interview that people ask me, so-and-so, who's the best this, who's the best that, I refuse to pick because I've lived through generations of music at this point. I can't tell you who my favorite rapper is. I can't tell you. I will tell you there's certain things like War Report and Enigma are always going to be in my top 3. I can't tell you what order. And when I say top 3, that might really be a top 5 at the moment because there might be another album from back then that I listened to 80 times in a week.
Right.
But there shouldn't be just one. That's why Twitter keeping the whole Jay-Z thing trending all the time. Yo, there's so many other people. Like, can we pass the torch now? Like, there's other people to talk about.
100%.
You know how much I hate seeing Ransom have to even claim that he's one of the best? Like, why should Ransom have to do that? Like, Ransom.
I think Ransom had enough at this point. He's had enough at this point. You could tell he's kind of like, I know how good I am. I'm just going to give you the music and let you lot talk. That's it.
Right.
That's how I feel Ransom's doing it right now. But when it comes to female rappers, I don't think it's done as much with male rappers. I know they say who's the GOAT and all this kind of shit. But when it comes to female rappers, it always feels like whoever's the number one female rapper at that time, they're always putting someone else against that person. Like when it was Kim,
they're pitting them against each other. Yeah.
Right now, Nicki and Cardi.
Kim,
right?
Nicki, yeah.
All the time.
Definitely.
Why is that?
I feel like people crave drama, and that's the thing too. Is that everybody seems to think that females can't get along with each other, and the thing is, usually when females are not getting along with each other, there's usually another party in there instigating.
That's a male.
Because, listen, because I'll tell you right now, my female like friend base and fan base is super solid. I know some amazing women. So I feel like it's one of those things when I go back to like the beta alpha male situation. its ego has a lot to do with it. There's so many men that it's just so hard for them to admit that a woman might actually be better, if not as good as them. You know what I mean? And I think there are some men out there who do it, and you should always say you're the best. Right. You know what I'm saying? I mean, to an extent. I'm sick of hearing my price just went up, but you know, you should in your mind at least always think that you're better than everybody, because you got to be.
Right.
But
that's what you do.
Give flowers. There's nothing wrong with it. You know how much it means? Like, it was crazy because I've actually thought about Shay being like eventually being like a modern day Missy. And I saw a tweet where Shay was like, she had said to somebody, well, I think Missy is more of a singer. And I wanted to jump in so bad, but like mad love to Missy, because I broke a couple Missy records some years back. And like, she got on Twitter and gave me all this love. It was like one of the most flattering moments in my career. But I love her so much because she's so humble in the way she interacts, and she responded to Shay. And it was so humble. And it was so dope. And Shay really handled herself. But it was so hard for me not to jump in, because I wanted to say, nah, like I see it. But like Missy, she really is a GOAT. Like, nah, it's not just singing. Like, what? You know, just, I mean, listening to the whole Super Duper Fly. Like, listen.
I was just going to say, people need to remember, Super Duper Fly came out in 97. You can still put that album on today. And that shit still sounds like it's from the future.
I do. Right.
The Real World. That album, the beats on The Real World.
And her videos, you see how all of a sudden the I Can't Stand the Rain with the people in the trash bags coming up and doing videos now. And I think it's so funny, but I'm like, yo, please, more of that. Because Missy
think about how long ago that was. You're like, wow, like she was doing some shit back then.
And you know what's dope is to see how beautiful she is now. You can tell like she's found peace. Not that she wasn't beautiful then, but it's like, look at her elevation, how beautifully she's aging. She stayed true to it. You know, she was heavier back then. And I think that was one of the reasons too, she got a certain level of respect.
Yeah, for real.
Because she didn't have to do all that, but like you could very well see she's beautiful. But she's putting 100%. On all the pretty girls, you know, like Total, and you know, putting all these, but she was a curator and making these women that probably would have been nothing, you know, whether they were one hit wonders or not, she was making them hit makers. Right. Because she was guiding them and all that stuff. So when you look at Aaliyah and you look at all these like Biggie songs and stuff like that, and then you don't even know the songs that she wrote.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah. Because even that whole Sister album, she was doing loads of that writing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if you look at the Sister lineup,
in the industry, there's NDAs.
Yeah.
So you just have to end up hearing things and being like, oh yeah, she definitely wrote that, but you ain't gonna hear her talk about it. It's not in her credits. You know what I mean? But like for men too. So that goes back to like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Glaciers, but she was on like Nori's second album. Chi Chi, you guys might see me talk to her on Twitter, but so I DJ for her. But she was on like Neo's writing squad and stuff like that. So she was like, forget about rapping. She'd be ghostwriting for like everything from pop, men, all that stuff. Like I think she just wrote something for the last Drake and Future joint. Because I remember her saying, oh God, whatever I just saw better not be the joint that I wrote. So I'm not really sure. But like, so that's a thing. And she's one of the most successful women. They actually brag all over Twitter about what she'd be doing, and as she should. But people don't know why. And it's from writing for these men. And she knew how to go out and invest and turn herself into success. She didn't need Nori for that. You know what I'm saying? Even though Nori gave her that cosign back then, she didn't need it. She's writing with Neo and all them. So there's so many women that are also behind the scenes that don't get any of this credit unless there's a man that they're working with. Like I feel like Timbaland was one of those men that he wanted to see her shine. He was trying to put her forward where other people are going to try to put her back. We can go back to Nicki Minaj, because Nicki Minaj, if you look up when she was rapping with Remy in the Staircases back then, she had the short hair. She looked like a boy. Then when Lil Wayne took her on, they built her. They built Nicki Minaj into what they were. So as a marketing plan, genius. But that wasn't Nicki Minaj, and they literally molded her into that Barbie that she is now. So eventually you're going to conform to it, but she could have sparred with the rest of them. She could spit.
I used to always say that, and I used to get stick for it on Twitter and back in the day and that, but Nicki can rap. There's no doubt about that. She's obviously chosen her pop
people
lane.
To pull it up. The one that she's rapping in the staircase in New York. Like, she's bodying bars, and that's why she was able to have an actual beef with somebody like Remy. But Remy is a real G, you know what I'm saying? So they just, the industry got their hands on Nicki, and Remy stayed true to it. There's a giant fly in here that's coming at me. Cardi B sent it over here to shut me up. My bad, Cardi. Yeah. I think you're funny.
So why do you think that women don't get the shine that men do? That kind of leads in nicely, because I would say that working in and around labels back in the day, you know for a fact that a lot of men have been like, unless she's got the, I've actually heard a woman come out and say a label head came to her and said, if you don't get surgery, I'm not putting you on. You don't make your titties bigger, forget about it. And she was like, I'm not doing it. So he was like, all right, cool, you can go. Like, I feel like a lot of women, with regard to their image, the stuff that they talk about, that they're kind of told, listen, this is what you got to do to sell records. If you don't like it, there's the door. I think men get told that in a different way. Unless you talk about guns, blunts, bitches, get out the door. And I think there was a period where it was with women as well. They were like, if you ain't talking about fucking, if you ain't talking about twerking and whatever, out the door. So I think that there's probably a lot of women that we would never hear because of that. They're like, I ain't doing that. I don't want to do that. So do you think that plays into why women don't get the shine that they do in hip hop as much as they should?
Absolutely, because especially sex sells is real, and that's very true. It is very true. But there's got to be some sort of balance. You know what I'm saying? Biggie fat as fuck. Look at all the women he got. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's the double standard situation as well. So this whole thing has been molded now to where, I mean, I blame a lot of like why chivalry is dead and stuff like that. It's because women have to make themselves look easy, because if they're not out there throwing their ass and throwing their titties around, then no men are going to want them. That's what they want. And then there's the rest of these women that are sitting there witnessing it like, oh, but these guys, oh, they say they want real women, but they're ending up with these women. So you've got these executives molding you to think you have to be a certain way, and it's taking away from the talent, because women have always been what sells everything else. You know what I'm saying? So there's so many factors that go into it, because I'll just go ahead and use myself as an example. So I could have exploited myself and so to say sold out a long time ago. So back in like, I want to say it was probably like 10 years ago, when I had like a really good buzz going and stuff like that, I was definitely like, I was winning all sorts of awards and stuff like that. A lot of people, at the time, I think even Sci-Hi the Prince was talking about making me his DJ, and he wanted to have an all-female crew. Like, he wanted security to be female. He wanted all women. And I was like, that's a good idea. So unfortunately, it was right when poof, he kind of disappeared, but that would have been super dope. So I was always really excited about that. I used to model for like Baby Fat and Rockaware and stuff like that. So I used to DJ my raw hip hop sets in heels and all of that stuff. And then it started coming to a point that I'm like, I need to be recognized for my skills. So I'll be honest with you, it was up until like 4 or 5 years ago when Huss Kingpin was the one that ended up being like, Beanie, stop with the hats and the hoodies. They're going to respect you either way, be a woman. And I'm like, I want to enjoy my body, but I want people to respect me. And then once you realize they ain't going to respect you either way, you just got to do what you do, and you can still be a woman, and you can do it how you want to do it. If you want to twerk and all that stuff, if that works for you, go ahead. But you don't have to do that. And if you don't do that, you have to work 5,000 times harder. So for instance, what I was saying was some years back, when the Master of the Mix show came out, I was approached to do it. And it was DJ Helly Yella. Shout out to him. DJ Dime Piece. There was a whole bunch of like fellow DJs that I knew. And me and Dime Piece, like, she never reached out to me or anything like that, because I think there was a low-key competition between me, her, and Daisy Dukes. Like, Daisy Dukes she was Trina's DJ. She might still be. But, you know, these are girls, they're gorgeous, but, you know, they're the ones wearing like the booty shorts and all this other stuff. And, you know, I'm a little more top heavy, so I ain't out there in the booty shorts and all that stuff. So, when I found out it was Dime Piece on there, and Dime Piece had just lost like both of her parents, and God bless her, super sad, but I'm already like, okay, I already see what they're about to do. because they're gonna pit us against each other on this show, and she's gonna be the female with the sob story from recent. You know what I'm saying? And like, I'm not trying to say anything like God rest their parents and stuff, but I knew what they were trying to do. And sure enough, so I turned it down. Sure enough, they set up DJ Hella Yella and had like DJ Scratch called in and called him out for biting his routine. But like the part they don't show you is that like, nah, Hella Yella was doing that as like paying homage to, you know, to the Scratch routine and stuff like that. But they made him look like a biter. And I like slowly started seeing his career kind of going down a little. And like even Dime Piece, I don't think she even made it through that far, but they cut her some slack on there. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, see, if I ended up on there, I'm not into the whole bad publicity is good publicity, because if they did just one little thing, or if I really did mess up and then that's what they highlight, does my career end there? So I just didn't want to do it. Another, they had a celebrity love matching show that they were going to do, like some reality show. I don't think it ever came out, but they were trying to pair me with Pauly D. And I was so anti fist pumping Pauly D and all that stuff. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. No. So eventually, you know, my shots left. Like they stopped reaching out for me because they knew I wasn't going to do all these shows that were not going to highlight what I really represented as a DJ. So there was so many times, you know, my first ever show that I like DJ'd for an artist was Chopper. And I was like, I only know the one song, Chopper Style, Chopper Style. Thank God that's all he performed in like one other thing. But I was so nervous, but it was like, that was the first time I got to DJ for an artist. And then, you know, it was still like, you got to have a DJ, you know, to back you up and stuff like that. So you didn't see a lot of females other than Lazy K out there backing people, Coco Chanel. You know what I'm saying? Like, and look at these women, a phenomenal DJ, Spinderella. What? Come on. I would never battle Spinderella. Are you kidding me? She's a legend. She is one of the best DJs. DJ Shorty. Like, there's females out here that you watch their scratch routines. They should not be categorized as the best female DJs. They're better than a lot of these dudes. So it's, you know, I think it comes back to the intimidation, because men run everything. You know what I mean? It just comes back to men are intimidated by other men. You know, out here, they're out here, you know, rapping to impress other rappers rather than worrying about their fan base. So what is so hard about doing what Spesh is doing and giving a woman an opportunity to do what she does? You know what I'm saying?
Obviously, he's not intimidated by one of his artists being as good.
He's not intimidated by anybody, and that's how it should be.
That's how it should be. Absolutely.
I have no problem if I think a woman is better than me at something. What? I'm going to tell everybody. There's nothing wrong with that. Nobody's perfect. Everybody should be trying to master their craft. So if you feel like somebody's better than you, then get on their level. But don't hide their talent.
Like that, for sure.
You know?
Man, how do you feel, man? Like, with regard to the shine that women get or don't get, like, how do you feel about it, man?
You know what? Like we said, man, the skill set is there. They need to be recognized. I mean, Beanz made some really good like points there, and that highlight a lot of things as well. A lot of the female MCs or DJs, whatever you, they're pitted against each other. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't help. I mean, I think about Little Kim, right? I'll put Little Kim down as a GOAT for me. Yeah, I know that the whole discussion is there. Biggie wrote most of her stuff, what have you. Okay, but when you look at her and how she kind of changed a lot of things, I'm not saying she was the first female to like really sexualize music. You had Salt and Pepper that was doing that before, but I think for me, correct me if I'm wrong, Little Kim is the first female I think of, or definitely the first female that I experienced in my relationship with hip hop that really took it there sexually. Do you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, she was raw with it. Literally, I mean, hardcore is hardcore.
Definitely, man. Yeah, and you know, and she is the
first female that like I feel like that really brought in that super sexualization and came with it with the bars. Because whether Biggie wrote for her or not, that delivery and that passion.
Exactly.
That's why Biggie picked her, though. That's why. For real.
Yeah, exactly. And I was going to say, people say, you know, Biggie encouraged her to do it, and whether he did or not. But I wanted to ask you something as well, actually, in regards to what you're speaking about. Maybe, you know, sometimes you might have your hats, you might have your hoodies, or, you know, what Huss might have said to you, you know, be a woman if you want to be a woman, or, you know what I mean, in regards like that and your appearance. Do we feel then that as much as we would say Kim is a GOAT for a lot of the stuff that she's done, the trends that she set, would we say that she may have played a part unwillingly or what have you in this whole situation that we're in now in regards to people feeling like maybe that they need to be over sexualized in their music or in their appearance to get the shine that Kim got, let's say? Because a lot of people can say Kim only got that shine because she stood next to Big. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but what I'm saying is, like, a lot of people may feel for that recognition, that they have to be as sexual as Kim was. So would you say that, you know what I mean, she's sort of not putting anything against her, but like she's sort of added to why females may feel the way they feel now?
Yeah,
it's a question.
I'm interested in hearing what's like.
Can I jump in here? Right.
Yeah,
so
man.
I really was a big fan of the Brat when she came out. Right.
I love her, man.
I thought the Brat was so dope. Like,
and people are just now figuring out she's pretty. I'm just saying.
I always thought.
Yeah, I'm getting there. Right. when the Brat came out, she had the box braids. She had the oversized clothes. She was trying to be a member of the Dog Pound, right? Even if you listen to the Funky Side album, she sounded like Snoop, right? She was clearly influenced by Snoop. Some of the stuff was written by JD. Okay, cool. By the second album, she was more into her own. She was spitting on a couple of those tunes, like hard spitting. Then it came to her third album. And if you remember the video with Tyrese, she's talking about how do you like it. She's got a tune on there called Pink Lemonade. She's got a few other tunes on there where she's talking much more sexualized and all that. Okay, I'm seeing where this is going. The fourth album comes out, Limelight, Love and Nightclubs, and she's practically naked on the CD in sleeve. So for me, it was kind of like, we know that you're dope though. We don't need you to do this now. 4 albums in, and now you're starting to take your clothes off. From your first album, you were no one could tell. Like, I thought she was fine from day one. I was about, I don't know, 14 or something when Fight the Fire came out, and I thought she was fine as hell. When she started taking her clothes off, she started not being as fine to me because
that's crazy, bro. Same.
Like, I already know how dope you are. Yeah. Now it feels like you're having to take your clothes off to justify what? We already know you're dope. Like, why are you doing this now? It felt horrible to me.
Exactly.
And it's more men don't speak on this kind of stuff, and more men don't speak on the fact that intelligence is sexy. And the main thing is on that. Who was in her ear telling her, if you want to keep on selling, you got to get sexy with it? Because it was the reverse effect to me. It broke my heart to see the transition with Lil' Kim.
Yeah, facts.
Because that is the industry, that is the trauma that she went through that made her change everything. Because I will never forget the day, Lord have mercy, when I said, why did she do that to her face? I got attacked on Twitter. I almost had to shut my joint down. But I was like, nah, I'm just trying to say she was gorgeous.
She was gorgeous.
Why did she do this? And she was another one aging beautifully. You know what I'm saying? And you got Mary J. Mary J got a scar on her face. So her career, the trauma that she really went through, I couldn't even watch her documentary because I've been through things that she's been through. Like, I'll get choked up right now knowing the stuff that these women go through in the background of things. And the things that they have to be quiet about, because if you do speak on it, that's your whole career. And on top of that, it's always going to come down to, they're going to flip it and say, oh, well, she was a slut. She did this. She did that. Now, they ain't going to tell you that so-and-so was in her ear saying he didn't have a man and she was actually in love and he drew her in. Nah, they just, with a slut. It's the double standard. So now it's been flipped to make it look like it's cool for you to be a slut like that, until it's your own daughter twerking in the living room to some crazy shit. You know what I mean?
Have you seen that crazy shit that's just come out with that whole twerking on that little kid and stuff like that? I was like, what?
I cannot. And like, kids are developing so much younger now too with everything. Like, just that's a whole other tangent, but it's just like, so history repeats itself. So I definitely believe Lil' Kim was very influential in the image. But yet again, it's Lil' Kim. There's never gonna be another Lil' Kim. You know what I'm saying? And like it was
There's
the
been
same with
many clones,
Foxy.
though.
Foxy just had a different balance. He said what?
There's been many clones though.
Exactly. But that's what it always is. Everybody gets their style from somebody, you know. There's always the executives who see the next Nicki Minaj somewhere else, when in all actuality, why aren't you putting on the Rhapsodies? Why aren't you pushing the Rod Diggers and stuff like that? Because they're gorgeous too. I mean, I didn't even know I was in love with Lady Luck until I had an interview with her recently, and I was like, my God, you're gorgeous. Like I love you. But especially now, I'm just noticing more and more, even myself, as I've been getting older, and as these other women who have already kind of pioneered certain things, they're now comfortable enough to be able to be beautiful and be sexy and not have to, like, we can just be ourselves and be pretty.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because we don't have to, the Kardashian thing. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody out here in LA, everybody's got that, I call it Botox burgers. They all go through the same drive-through and get the same lips, the same booty. But then at the end of the day, it's like that's who you see like the NBA players with and stuff like that. So of course, women, they want to live the glamorous life. That's what all women, especially as a little girl, we all want to be a princess. We all have that fantasy. But the older you get and the more you start realizing that you're just as talented, if not more talented than some of these men, then why, if I don't do certain things, can I not progress? And then if I do those certain things and then I don't progress, then what?
Yeah.
And it's very traumatic. Like I mean, I'm not even going to get super emotional, but like there's men who think I'm emotional. I mean, do you want me to just be dead ass raw right now?
Yeah, man, speak your thing.
This is serious.
Speak, man.
Like kind of like, man. It might be traumatic, but let me just tell you, this is where I feel like it really comes with the intimidation. So I had a show. It was, I'm not even going to say where it was or anything like that, but let's just say that I was sexually assaulted before I got on the stage to DJ for this artist. And I had to DJ for him. And it was on my birthday. So I put on one of the best shows of my life. So not one person, and still to this day, there's a lot of people who will never know that. And if I told people the show, which I won't do that, but if I told people the show, like you would never know.
Wow.
So women also have this thing where we're emotional. We can't do certain things because we're emotional. The thing is, if you pay attention, a lot of these men say the same type of things we do, but for them, it's passionate. For us, we're crying. No, we're really just being blunt. That's why I'm going to shout out China Streets. That's why China Streets, for me, I'm going to watch her progress because I think she's going to find this balance where she can go out there and show her ass, whatever it may be, but she's going to straight up tell you, don't be in my DMs if it's not about the money. She's very open. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like, and she speaks on too, like we don't want to sit here and hear women rapping about their box and stuff like that all the time. We want to hear other stuff. Like a man doesn't want to rap along to something like that.
This was going to be my next point. That's led me beautifully to my next point. Yep. So I wanted to talk about who we will consider the GOATs when it comes to female rap, right? But I was thinking about the fact that if a woman has a show, a female MC, if she has a show, are you going to see men in the front row reciting her lyrics? Are you going to see that? Do you think
it does depend on the artist, innit? Because like we're saying, Shay, Brat, Rage, these people, bro, I don't care. I'll go in there. I'll be doing it.
You're gonna be screaming. I'm rubbing tough with my Afro puffs. You know
I'm talking about in general. Are we going to see men like saying all the lines and stuff, or are they a little bit too masculine to be like, I ain't gonna be reciting a woman's bars? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
do you think that's a
That's a great point.
And that leads to the marketability. So it puts women in a different category all the time because women have to be marketable. How come men don't have to be marketable?
Right.
I mean,
they do.
They do because the label will say, I need you to have guns. I need you to have blunts. But I don't smoke. Well, you do now. I need you to drink. I don't drink. You do now. You know what I mean? So I think it's just different when it comes to men, but it definitely does happen because some of my friends I know who are rappers, who are DJs, they've gone through that with labels. You know, they're like, you're talented, cool. Yeah, we know you can rap. Who cares? Literally, someone has told my friend, I know you can rap. Who cares? So he's like, what do you mean? Who cares? He's like, Who gives a shit?
Yep.
10 other people outside can rap just as good as you. What makes me want to invest in you? So it doesn't matter about your talent level. It matters about how much of your soul you're willing to sell in order to please this guy who's going to promise you some money that is basically a loan from a.
That is a big fact, right there.
Like let's not fuck about. Like that's exactly what happens in the music industry. So when it comes to goats of, I don't even want to say female rappers or anything like that, but when it comes to the ones who paved the way, we know the obvious names. But there'll be people watching this that might not really be too much up on some of the best female rappers and stuff. So I guess this is a good opportunity for us to throw some of our favorites out. E, you want to go first with maybe your top 5 that you would place in like the GOAT category when it comes to female rappers?
Goats, yeah, okay, no problem, man. So as always, I do separate the two, goats and favorites, two completely different things to me. Goats, it's got to be MCs like Roxanne Shante. We know that. Do you know what I mean? You look at who she runs with alone and to still stand out. Trust me, man. You know, there's stories of her being in battles on a come up and winning, but them not giving her the title because she's a woman. You know what I'm saying? Right. So, you know, she's got to be, man. She's there in the conception and the genesis of hip hop, man. So yeah, definitely Queen Latifah. I can't sing her praises enough. You know what I'm saying? She is a pioneer in a sense of, once again, striving for the female unity. You know, we all know the story. It wasn't just meant to be her and Moni Love. It was meant to be a whole group of sisters. I heard Rage wanted to be on the track. You know what I'm saying? A whole group of sisters was meant to be in the track. But labels didn't want it, so on and so forth. It goes back again to what we're talking about. Right. Them being put against each other. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, definitely Queen Latifah, Salt and Pepper as well. I always like to look at my experience with hip hop, you know what I'm saying? And they were some of the first females that I recognized as MCs coming up. So definitely Salt and Pepper. You got to throw MC Light in there as well, you know what I'm saying? I know I'm going to get crucified for this. I've never been a huge MC Light fan, that's the truth. But if we're talking GOAT female MCs, you have to mention MC Light. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, definitely, man. You know, she come out the gate with a classic as well. There's a few that I would say these are down as GOATs. You know what I'm saying? That you've got to put them down. And I know there's a few that's escaped my head right now, but there's some of the ones I'd put down as GOATs. You know what I'm saying? For personal favorites, Rage is, and once again, we're trying not to say female MC, but for the sake of the episode, Rage is one of my favorite female MCs, if not my favorite, man. I know she don't have that much material, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people use that as an argument when we're talking about greats, but
for they don't use it as an argument with Big Pun.
There you go. So why? Come on, bro. Like, she started off one of my favorite hip hop albums of all time, Doggy Style, Take Away the Bathtub intro. She kills it. You see what I'm saying? She comes in with the intro, the G-Funk intro, absolutely kills it. All her features, every single Death Row feature she's on, she steals the show. Do you know what I'm saying? As you said, Afro Puffs was insane. I personally think Necessary Roughness was a brilliant album, man. It just came out at the wrong time, or the Death Row hoo-ha, but I think it was a brilliant album. And I think she's a beast, man. I love Rage. Brat, as you mentioned, have always loved the Brat. From Functified, another tantrum I had in heavy rotation. And I don't just mean it because she raps fast, man. She's sick with it. She's not just a fast rapper. She's brilliant. You know what I'm saying? I love Brat. She's exciting. She's cool. Newer MCs, I'll probably say Love the Genius is someone I'm looking at right now. I'm really enjoying what I'm getting from her. Obviously, Shay, we've mentioned her a few times. Sa Rock, I think she's incredible. Just like Beanz was mentioning with Shay and Black Thought, Sa Rock held her album down, and she had some big heavyweight features on the what was it, 2020 album that she dropped? I know she done Deluxe, but the original. That's the one. Yeah. Yeah, man. So there's a lot. I want to look at my list though, because I actually feel guilty. I feel like I'm missing a lot of people. I want to put Kim down, obviously, as I mentioned before, as a GOAT. Lauryn Hill, she's an MC that obviously stands out for me. I think she's an incredible lyricist. Missy, as we've mentioned, and a newer artist, I want to give a shout to Backwards Sweetie. I think she's sick. You know what I mean? I think she's a dope MC as well. That last project she dropped, man, I've been listening to that a lot lately. And I was speaking to her on Twitter not too long ago, and she's got a few like mixtapes on that piff as well. So I was just scrolling through some of that, and she's a dope MC, man. So yeah, we need to give them the props, man. But there's some of the ones I'd throw out as like goats and the favorites, man. So yeah, that's what I'd throw down.
Well, Beanz, I know E hasn't really left you much to play with here, but
sorry,
I
man.
mean, I'm gonna have to agree with that. I mean, when it really comes down to it, the way I'm gonna answer is I'm gonna tell you who I listen to on still a regular basis that's in my mixes. And the thing is, well, you know, when we go back and we're talking about the prime of when I was listening, especially R&B and hip hop, was there was more of a fusion of that. So all the people you named, without a doubt, pioneers must be recognized. Salt and Pepper, everybody, and especially for me with Salt and Pepper, because they had the whole thing going with the DJ and then the rappers,
the dance routine,
everything,
right?
Everything. Missy, I think, is always gonna be number one to me. I think always. I really like. I told you guys I don't like to pick a number one, but if I absolutely had to, I'm going with Missy. Kim, Foxy, Adina Howard, like these kind of things. These are the females that still are in my mix, right along with the men.
Right.
And I feel very strongly that Shay Noor and Love the Genius are gonna kind of bust the door back open to the part of the resurgence where it's back to where MC Light and the Brat and stuff like that came in. And yes, they're beautiful. But you're listening to the bars. You don't need to wait for her to start twerking and to have knees of steel in order to be paid attention to. You know what I'm saying? So then now if they do want to put out a track where they talk on some stuff like that, it's going to be like, whoa. But I don't see either one of them ever selling out because Love got Conway behind her. And Conway is one of the realest dudes ever, and he hears it. You know what I'm saying? And that's why he supports her, and that's why he got her on tour. And she comes out in the Jason jumpsuit, and I'm so mad because this was my idea that I was gonna do for a DJ routine. And she came out and did it, but she killed it. So you don't even know, and she's just spitting bars, and she takes off the mask and bang. Yeah, that's a woman spitting them bars. So I really think that Shay and Love are going to kind of kick the door open to show that that's okay. And I do speak on that whenever I give Shay her props. I'm always like, I firmly believe that you are what is needed in so many different aspects.
Definitely.
And she definitely deserves her flowers.
You've literally seen her grow throughout every project she's dropped. She's just got better and better and better. And the fact that she's doing her own
not letting up production, bro.
Yeah. So she's
challenging herself.
Exactly. So you could tell she's like, I did that. That's cool. Because she'll drop a tweet like going through samples right now, putting this beat together right now, blah blah blah. You could tell she's really about her craft and wanting to get better. I can only respect that, man. So yeah, big props to Shay as always. Definitely. You really didn't leave me no one left. Man.
No, we're gonna have some of the same, man. We're gonna have some of the same.
She's like,
I would say maybe a couple you didn't mention.
And Eve, sorry. Eve's in my top two.
Eve.
Rough Rider Eve.
Yeah, Rough Rider. I never really like after the first album.
I got guilty pleasures like Tambourine and stuff like that when I'm DJing at the club. Not on my leisure time, but when I'm DJing at the club.
At the club? Tambourine.
I got some Eve favorites that I can tolerate and I enjoy dropping in the club. So that's a DJ perspective.
But for me, I think there's a girl called what's her bloody name now? She did an album with Apollo Brown. Oh man, name escapes me, but she is so dope. The album's called Brown Study, and it will come
from Detroit, Miss Corona.
No,
she didn't do it. It wasn't with Apollo Brown. Who did she?
It was
somebody else out there.
It was Apollo Brown. Oh my god, I'm gonna have to search her name now because this is gonna. All right, bear with me, people.
So I'm over here dying of sweat, so I'm gonna blame my fried brain on that.
Boog Brown is her name.
Okay.
Boog Brown, super
I'm not
dope.
familiar.
If you haven't listened to the Brown Study album, may I suggest that you go and do that right now. Apollo Brown beats, Boog Brown rapping, very dope combination. MC Light is probably one of my first favorite rappers, period. Her first album was just crazy to me. And then when Roughneck came out, a lot of people thought that was a boy that was rapping. I remember when that first dropped. And
Roughneck was hard, bro. I love that.
So dope, man. So yeah,
did you sing it in your car when you were driving down the street? You were singing it, weren't you?
You did. It's cool. Absolutely. Foxy, Kim. I was a big fan of Foxy's and Kim's, but Foxy was she is from Trinidad, same as Nicki. Yep. And she came with that the third album, Broken Silence, when she was doing a lot more of the sort of reggae influenced stuff, a lot more of the patois.
Yeah, it's still one of my all-time favorite songs.
Fire album, man. Very, very dope album. Whole album was fire. Missy is just a different level. But the thing with Missy was I never looked at her as just a rapper, because a lot of her music was very R&B influenced as well, and she wrote a lot of R&B records too. So I never saw her as someone that I'll put in like an MC category, if that makes sense. Because for me, her creativity was what really made me love Missy.
That's
like
exactly what Shay was saying.
Yes, the creativity is just different level. Yeah,
and I can understand that.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to straight just rapping on bars and stuff, Missy was very playful with it. Like she'll say some stuff, but she wasn't like technically gifted as an MC, but she could just say the simple shit and just make you repeat those lines. So she had that kind of stuff. And the beats, obviously, that she was making with Timbaland is just absolutely insane. Like, so I was listening to The Real World the other day, just like, what were these guys on when they were making these beats, man? This is just crazy. And the features, you got
Fly in the Wall,
Big Boy, all these kind of top on there, just crazy. And Lady of Rage, like you said, Lady of Rage is just a different level of MC, man. She's just crazy. But I think one of my all-time favorites is Rah Digga, and the reason I really like Rah Digga, number one, again, she's never had to take her clothes off. She's always been very prideful in the fact that she writes her own shit. Like from the very first Rah Digga, she was running with Young Z and the Outsiders. Like these guys in Jersey were looked at as kings. The Outsiders were like the guys. You had Eminem running with them. You had so many dope MCs running with the Outsiders, Proof, and all of those guys from Detroit. And for Rah Digga to be the only female in the crew, you knew she had to have something. She had to be dope to these guys. I think her and Young Z have got a kid together. I think they were in a relationship for a number of years. Young Z is dope on his own, but him and Rah Digga, crazy. So for her to be in the flip mode again, the only female holding her own shit together.
And none of these men had any problems co-signing her, by the way, might I add. Because it always takes somebody to give the name to make people pay attention.
She didn't need it. She didn't need it. She was so dope on her own. And there's a song on Busta's last album, ELE2. There's a deluxe version of that album. And there's a song that's got the Flip Mode Squad on there. And the Rah Digga verse on there is crazy.
That's right.
I was listening to it the other day. What? Still got it.
I'm sorry to I just want to ask though. So do you think that if these women were given more of a chance and weren't being held back, maybe because they can't surpass a man who's on the label, whatever the reasoning may be, if these women had a chance to do things now independently, the way people can do more so now, where you don't have to be tied to a label, do you think they would be considered an elite MCs and not constantly be put to, because I see now more and more people are saying stuff like Shay is just one of the best MCs. It doesn't happen enough. But do you think if they had a chance to put out more albums and they had these people behind them that they got behind Busta Rhymes and stuff like that, would they be considered top tier MCs and not have to wait to be mentioned in categories like the top women rappers of history?
In today's audience, I would say still no. And I'd say that because it's a lot of superficial shit that I'm seeing people gravitating to today. Like it feels to me like people prefer marketing over the actual music nowadays. They're more interested in release dates and features and all this kind of shit. And when the music actually hits, it's like, oh, okay. Let's take the Kendrick album as a perfect example of what I'm talking about, right? These motherfuckers were talking about this album for 5 years, right? every day for 5 years on that app, I was seeing Kendrick, when's the album? Kendrick, when's the album? When the Kendrick album drops, gonna be the greatest. Who's gonna feature on it? The album drops, and then it's like, oh, okay, thanks, Kendrick. That's it. Like within a week, don't hear nothing.
And it should have been more talked about, mainly because this was his freedom, and this was his first album that was his. That to me should have been talked about more than all this analytical crap that
it's all about the audience. This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. It's the audience. So back to your question is no, because they want to see the aesthetic. They want to see, she's twerking. Like Meg Thee Stallion. Yep. I'll come back to this this example again. I couldn't give a shit about her music because I find it extremely boring. I did try to listen to her album, and I was playing the game with my son, and I was like, I'm gonna press skip every time she talks about her pussy, every time she talks about twerking, every time she talks about dick, I'm gonna press skip. And I swear to God, I skipped every song on that album because that's all that she was talking about. So I haven't heard the album in full. But it comes back to, she feels like she must have to satisfy her audience because that she must get bored of doing the same shit over and over again. So if a woman is like, I want to show people that I can just rap, I feel like people will be like, okay, she can rap, cool. Because if that's not the case, why isn't Shay Noir spoken about more? Why is she only spoken about?
They see her. Believe me, they see her.
Exactly.
That's what I was going to say. I think now is the time.
They didn't notice Conway and all them without noticing every single one of these guys. Believe me.
But if Love the Genius didn't have Conway behind her,
in the industry hit me up to talk about these guys. So they see them, and they've been seeing them.
Of course they do.
I think now's the time.
Who's allowed to do what?
Now's the time. I think if in this day and age, with the independent push the way it is, you know, people like Shay and all these independent artists and quote unquote underground artists, they'd be practically unheard of or unknown a few years ago. You see what I'm saying? But now that there's a platform, there's an arena for it, even like what we're doing here today. People want to hear this. People are actually buying merchandise, buying music, supporting them, going to shows, you know what I mean? Concerts are selling out in England or wherever for these underground artists, you know what I'm saying? So I think, to go back to your question again, people like Rah Digga and these kind of female MCs from that era, if they was able to do the whole independent thing, I do think they'd be mentioned more, because Shay's going to be mentioned for a long time. Do you know what I mean?
Now look, and I'm going to tell you guys what's. Oops, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say someone like Little Sims, right?
Right.
Little Sims, as a UK artist, let alone the fact that she's UK, but as a female rapper, doesn't take her clothes off. She seems to be getting a lot of recognition and respect right now. But
after how long, bro? We know Sims has been around for years. I've known Sims for years. A couple episodes of Top Boy. Top Boy blows up in America, and now people talk about Sims, bro. No one was talking about Little Sims before Top Boy blew up in America. You see what I'm saying? So it's almost like you need.
Go on, bro. Sorry.
No problem. There's a little bit of a delay. That's why that happens sometimes. But I was going to say that's why, you know, sometimes it's a shame because, and I love it. I love hearing people in America and everywhere else talk about Little Sims and even Kano and these people now. But sometimes I chuckle to myself because I'm like, these guys been doing this for 10 years. You see what I'm saying? Right. But you're literally talking about them now because of Netflix, because of Top Boy. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes it's almost like without that big push or something or someone, you practically go unheard of. But these
kind of like Rapper Beanz, who didn't get recognition until she was on Hulu, but I've had the name for how many years now?
These kind of things.
Yeah, Beanz, I seen you watching me too, girl. I tried to reach out to you, but you don't want to holler at the real Beanz. It's all right. I respect you. They're molding you. Don't let them, because you can actually rap. So don't do it, because you've fallen into that. If you're going to use my name.
Hair flick.
There you go.
Fuck that life. I've been telling y'all. I'll have the braids in a couple of days to flip.
There you go. And I wanted to mention Boss a little bit as well, man. I know we're about to wrap up, but bro, I think Boss, I'll say that because you obviously mentioned there before and you mentioned about the fakeness. I think this all goes down again to people's perception of female MCs, because how many fake rappers are there, male rappers? Like you look at, do you know what I'm saying? But they don't seem to lose no credibility. People still seem to rock at them, buy their music, do whatever they're doing. But
even when they get aired out.
That's
this is
true,
what I'm
man.
saying. You speak to someone today about Boss, the first thing they're going to say is, "Oh, she was fake." But the thing that always makes me laugh about that is I love that album, Born Gangsters, 1993, bro, heavy rotation. But the thing that always makes me laugh when people say she was fake is that we knew it from the album. It was never a hidden fact. It's not like Rick Ross, like pictures had to come out. You know what I'm saying? She said it on her album. Her mum's on her answer machine. They're saying that they're from Detroit or wherever it was, and you know, you've been brought up in a not to be like this and blah blah. Like, we know that's not her. And she even says it in the tracks that she released, the singles, not even hidden songs, singles, where she says, you know what I mean? I'm trying to make it here, but I'm stuck. You know what I'm saying? So we know that that's how she was. But I think it's that same thing. It's almost a reason for people to say, oh, I don't really check for her because she was fake. But really, about when free, bro, you could have held her up lyrically with any like West Coast. And I know she's from Detroit, but she was kind of with the West Coast style and sound and flavor. Do you know what I mean? MC, it was a hard album, and she was a hard MC. Boss, you know, Boss. Born Gangsters, 93.
Because you said she was free. I only heard the free part. I was like, no, Free's from Roxbury. She's from Boston, but I think.
No. Yeah, do you see what I'm saying? Bad. So it's interesting because I feel like just we as consumers are hard on female MCs, man. Do you see what I'm saying?
So that's
like,
what I was going to say. That's what it really comes down to, is that we need to speak more so people will see this is what like consumers want, because not enough people speak on it, and too many people speak on the Kardashians. So I know we have to wrap up, but I want to ask y'all's opinion on this because maybe as a female, maybe I'm seeing it differently. So I'm going to give an example where I'm going to toot my own horn a little bit. And now, before I speak on this, it's no offense because I'm about to talk about one of my favorite rappers, but it's just a great example. So 2019, I'm DJing in a Ghostface Killer video from the Ghostface album with Big Ghost. So it was I was DJing for Benny and Spesh, and then Crook came or whatever, and the way they put the video together, it looks like I'm DJing for all of Wu-Tang in the video. Like, if you go under the comments, there's even somebody that's like, oh my God, we didn't know Ghostface had a female DJ. Super dope, right? So, like, 2 people saw it on Be Real TV and, like, DM me, and they were like, oh my God. Posted it, crickets. Last year, the beginning of last year, there's a Crooked Eyes song that was produced by Eminem. And Crook was like, you have to DJ in this video. You're my DJ. You have to come DJ in it. So it's like, it's Family Business, which is Horseshoe Gang and Crook. And I'm DJing in this song produced by Eminem. Eminem posts the video on his Instagram. I posted up, like, I'm the DJ in this joint produced by Eminem. Crooked.
Damn.
Not one person, okay? Then, last year, Ty, I love you. This is nothing against you, but this shit pisses me off. Ty Farris, Erykah Badu is listening to Shade 45, and the DJ happens to be playing a Ty Farris song. All of a sudden, the internet's on fire.
Yeah, I remember that.
Erykah Badu is playing your
song. I remember
like, that. Not one person shouted out the door, went to see who the DJ was that she was listening to, because she wasn't listening to Ty's album. It was so dope, and I was so happy to see it. But when it dawned on me, the amount of people that were reposting it and the thousands of comments that they had under her post saying, oh my God, that's Ty Farris. We know him.
I remember that. Yeah.
Not one person. And I'm sorry, I get it. Like, it's Erykah Badu, but like, still, whether we like Eminem like that or not, it was a song produced by Eminem, and he posted the joint of me DJing in it. I'm DJing for Ghostface Killer in a music video.
That's huge in itself. Yeah.
So because it was Erykah Badu and a man, everybody goes crazy. All the boys are going crazy. Why?
I think
that is anywhere close to the Erykah Badu. So, like,
let me tell you right now, my dick ain't going nowhere near Erykah Badu.
Nobody should. We already know how things go down.
I've seen what it's done to these guys.
Literally the Medusa of the box, but But still, so I'm just wondering, out of curiosity, and be honest with me, are either one of those features for me? Is that because I put that on my resume, both of those instances?
Of
so
course.
You should. But it comes back to what we're saying. Like, there is a thing about women not getting shine that others do in hip hop. It's just a fact. We just have to accept it. It's something that I think definitely needs to change. But there's plenty of women out there probably right now who are making beats, because there's not enough female producers in hip hop as far as I'm concerned. There's females writing songs, females rapping dope, but we're not going to get to here because a label's going to get in the way and go, nah. Or they'll put their music out and the audience, like you just said, crickets. Then it'll be like, okay, let me try this again, but with my tits out. Look at this rapper, she's amazing. I kind of think that's what happened with Doja Cat too, because I remember years back, I can't remember where I saw the album. I think it was on Two Dope Boys. Shout out to Two Dope Boys, shout out to Shake and shout out to Mecca. But I think they posted a Doja, and I'd never heard of her. I was like, I don't know who the hell this girl is, but she looked like a pretty girl to me. So I was like, okay, cool. Moved on. Then the cow thing came out. I'm a cow. So then I was like, ain't that same girl that was over here that no one gave a shit about? She dresses up like a cow, and then all of a sudden everyone's like, oh my God, look at this girl. And I'm like, so she figured out, in order for me to get you dickheads to pay attention to me, I have to do some dumb shit that you lot are going to talk about, and then I can introduce you to my music. So I think it's a point that we're at now where you need a gimmick, you need something that people are going to talk about, and then you can hit them with the music. So you've got to come up with some kind of bullshit, whatever it may be. And like Bean said right at the beginning of the show, some people really do believe that any publicity is good publicity, because I've seen people get on Twitter and get dragged for something. Their follower count goes through the roof. They could be on like 500. They do some dumb shit, get called out. You're this, you're that. 25,000 followers by the end of the. So
I swear people are reaching. They got to be but that's why I try not to give them attention. But sometimes I'm just like, you want some attention. But
this is the only way that people have figured out. I don't care what it takes. I'm gonna be seen. I'm gonna be heard. We used to have do you remember The Word, bro? Do you remember that show called The Word?
Man, big time. Yeah,
they used to have a section on that show called "I'll Do Anything to Be Famous." Do you remember that?
Yes, and they used to eat all mad things, and I remember.
Yeah. So there was a dude who cut his pubic hair off and put it on a cracker and ate it and went, "I'll do anything."
Bro, how do I remember that so clearly? I remember that so clearly.
Right.
Bro.
This is literally what we're living in. I'll do anything to be famous. And I think a lot of the female MCs have thought, do you know what? I ain't playing that game. I want to be recognized for the fact that I can spit, for the fact that I'm just as good as the men, for the fact that I can be a single mom, or I can be in a marriage and I can still put on, but a man can just do whatever the fuck. He can talk about him being a pimp and a gangbanger and this and that. But a woman is kind of like, you have to be in a specific box in order for someone to give a shit about you.
No pun intended. You knew there was going to be a box joke somewhere in there.
I actually did mean that pun, by the way, just so you know.
Yeah, you trying to take the credit, everyone.
But I think that's where we are when it comes down to it, man. I just think that there's an unfair divide. I don't know when it's going to change, but hopefully, if we can have more people talking about it, just as we are now, bringing a bit more attention to female MCs and what they've done in hip hop, because it's not just rappers. Like I said, man, we've had influence from females from the beginning, and I think we just need to shed a little bit more light on them, man. So this episode in particular is all about bigging up the female MCs. Big up to Beanz for joining us this week. Massive respect. Thank you so much for coming on.
I'm honored to have been a part of this episode. Thank you so much.
No problem. But Beanz does sound like Lois Griffin. Like let's not get it twisted. She does, right?
Oh man.
But we love her anyway.
Hey, at least you didn't say the nanny.
No.
I get Fran Drescher and I get so mad. I'm like, I used to get what is her name from Who's the Boss? And I love her too.
Fran Drescher.
No, Alyssa Milano. I used to get that a lot. I used to.
I can see it.
My face is rounder now. You know, I used to get compared to a lot of different things, but age, it happens.
What's your mixtape? Your latest mixtape? Tell the people.
So My recently recorded one, I think the latest one is I have this thing now where I drop 3 tapes at a time. So I did Everybody Hates Beans 2 and 2.5, and then Beat Them Bad, which was a dance hall one. And then I just found a whole bunch of, so, you know, it's a whole story, but Good Music shut me down back in like 2015. So I have all these tapes that got ripped down off the internet that I never dropped on CD and I never had up for streaming. So I just found a whole bunch of them. So I've been slowly but surely dropping those. They're on my website. I have them on Bandcamp and stuff like that too, because some people just seem to be a little more comfortable with Bandcamp. So I give my mixes away for free. I just charge for the CDs.
Perfect. So I can highly recommend Everybody Hates Beans. I've listened to it myself. It's fire. Everybody Hates Beans 2. Everybody Hates Beans 2.5. Check all those out. Beans, we're going to put all of your bits at the bottom right here, so anyone can check out your website, get to your mixtapes and all that good stuff. So thank you once again for joining us this week. My guy E in the building as per usual.
Yes. Appreciate it, man. It's been a brilliant episode, man. Beans, appreciate having you on, and just your insight, your openness, your honesty. We love it, man. But we need to support each other, support the culture, man. Sisters are every bit of blessing to the culture as the brothers are, man. So let's hope, you know, this is just a little episode that we're doing, a little Manos hip hop episode. Some people will see it, some people won't, but I do believe things like this is what the culture needs, man, because we need to talk about things and get it out there. So yeah, man, appreciate you being on. It's been good, man. So yeah, Manos hip hop, another episode, the podcast that knows and celebrates hip hop, man. So from Slack, from Beans, from me, nothing but love. Peace, and we'll see you again, man.
See you next week, guys. Peace.